Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Azura and today I'm bringing a topic that's not only wide field, but also has a ton of different specializations in said topic. I'm talking about skill expression. Skill expression is something that bears a wide margin, not only due to the variety of skill expressive mechanics in various video games, but also various genres of video games. When you think about it, there is a lot to talk about when it comes to various forms of skill expression. You could probably break it down into various parts of skill expression. So let's find out what types of skill expression there are. Come on. It isn't a skill expression video if I'm not talking about movement in one way or another. Movement is one of the more mainstream ways that people can express themselves and their skill through various movement techniques. I've got a couple of examples. I mean, why wouldn't I? I'm a complete movement nerd. Such as...
It's opening season. Our path is set.
Yeah, this shouldn't surprise anyone. People who talk movement will talk games such as Apex in a PvP sense. With all the crazy stuff that you can do in this game, I wouldn't be surprised if half the movement player base consists of early 20-somethings hopped up on various stimulants. From the basics of tap strafing to whatever the fuck half of the Wraith player base are doing, you would assume that movement would make a bigger impact in Apex as a game. Yeah, no. No, it doesn't. Apex is one of those games where you do better with positioning than pure movement. Don't get me wrong, it isn't a bad thing to have good movement in Apex, but it isn't needed as much. It does look cool, however, when you do master it. While you wouldn't really think of it on a casual level, Gears of War has some of the best feeling movement I've ever played in a competitive game. The cover-based system that Gears uses is used for some of, in my friend's words, the goofiest shit he has ever seen. Which, I'll be honest, he does have a point. It looks ridiculous, but it's so much fun to play. Wall bouncing as a mechanic is relatively simple to do in theory, but requires a lot of practice in order to get to a consistently decent level. Playing control schemes like Claw Alt makes things a bit easier to do, but you still need to practice in order to not roll into someone's Nasher shot and get gibbed. One of the nicest parts about Gears' movement is how it isn't really input restricted. Anyone can become a movement crackhead in this game. PCB movement and controller movement are virtually the same thing, but with different ways on doing the same thing. And you feel pretty freaking cool while doing it. Just a word of warning, it doesn't matter how good you get at movement in this game, the 3 people launching you down from mid-range, yeah, they will down you. You ain't surviving that unless you get really lucky or they are really shit at hitting their shots. Anyway, moving on.
Get ready for the next battle.
Vrock called it when he said I was going to put Tekken in here, but come on, it's Tekken. I'm going to fit it in here somehow. But how do you describe Tekken's movement in a single phrase? Korean backdashing. Korean backdash have been a massive part of Tekken's footsie game since Tekken's earlier days. Tekken 5 was where it was at its strongest, and it made a great way to deal with the backdash cooldown the game has internally. Is it absurdly difficult? Yes. But learning to KBD is important when you want to truly delve deep into the footsie game of Tekken. KBD is fundamental for Tekken's movement. And while yes, you can supplement it with backdash sidestep, it doesn't really have the same effect as Korean backdash. One of the nice benefits that KBDs have is that it helps players make moves that are safe on hit with, leaving an opponent open for a launch punish if they really screwed up, or just want to do more of a ranged game with long-reaching pokes. With Tekken, it really depends on your playstyle. I mean, really depends on your playstyle. It's great. So those are some of the basic movement examples of skill expression in video games. But I do have a couple of more. And the next topic, I enjoy to a personal level. I was going to name this thing timing-based skill expression, but this was just so much easier. Parrying is just satisfying. Being able to perfectly time a defensive block for massive reward is what makes it such a fun mechanic in games where it's a fundamental requirement to play at a high level. In the fighting game term, take Third Strike for an example. The game's parry system not only awards riskier decision making by choosing to parry a move, but it also made some extremely hype moments occur. And we all know which one I'm thinking. Justin Wong still has nightmares about that day. Alongside its risk-reward nature, it allows for a more defensive play to be a more rewarding playstyle, as successfully parrying an attack gives you a little bit of meter and allows for a follow-up punish. It gets really cool when you get the timing down. High-ranking Street Fighter gameplay is some of the best Street Fighter you'll ever watch.
You will witness true horror.
And while I would have mentioned that Sekiro and to a lesser extent Bloodborne has parrying as a main part of the gameplay loop, I've never played those games. Yeah, I'm pretty sad about it myself. So to go off of my Soulsborne example of parrying, I'm going with Elden Ring. While many veterans of the Soulsborne franchise can tell you the effectiveness of parrying, like parrying Pontiff from Dark Souls 3 or Gwyn in Dark Souls 1, when you hear that parry sound effect and get that opening for a visceral counterattack, it's pure serotonin in gameplay form, and it's also extremely rewarding. The timing is weird depending on what game you're playing, but when you are able to get the timing down, you can bend a Soulsborne game across your knee and fucking spank it. It's great.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
Come on, I'm going to fit League of Legends in here somehow, so we might as well do it here. Macro game is a massive part of skill expression in certain games. Take games where macro is a lot more important in most regards than micro. And for those wondering what macro and micro play is, micro, in a mechanical sense, is the one-to-one moments that you have where your mechanical skill is more important than your decision-making. Macro is where a wider range of the game, or like the wider aspect of a game, is affected by your decision-making. League of Legends, yes, I know I'm an addict, shut up, is one of the cases where macro plays much more of an important role than micro. Being able to read the game state and plan accordingly and coordinate has always been a big part of the game. Like, where are the waves? How are the waves? What objectives are up? Is the local zoo known as the bot lane going 0-17 and running it down completely? Is your mid laner currently sat in mid lane with its thumb up its ass? These things matter, and it does affect the choices that you make. Another thing would be the builds in any MMO game ever conceived. Any MMO game ever conceived. Having a strong build is usually a singular choice between two things. Making the wrong choice means suboptimal performance, and the right choice is good performance. It usually boils down to trial and error, so you never really have to worry about making the wrong decision, as there usually isn't a bad way to play an MMO and just a suboptimal one. And to anyone who makes bad builds and somehow make it work, you guys are real ones. You guys are chads for that. I respect it. The main takeaway of this is more or less that skill expression can vary in many different ways. From knowledge, to mechanics, to strategy, to being an absolute Dark Souls no-life. They're the most fun to watch, by the way. But that doesn't really matter. If you like taking a more casual approach, play a more supportive role, or just want to go balls to the wall and try and outplay everything around you, from the 1v1, 1v9, 1v many, 1v50, 1v100, I don't know. At the end of the day, what you do to have fun is what you do to have fun. Anyway, that's going to be it from me. I'll see y'all around in the next video, and this is Azura, signing out. Bye bye.